I may have been the biggest liar at Cleveland's Myron T. Herrick Junior High. At 12 years old, I hated school more than anyone, but what I truly loathed was homework. Welcome to the Hack Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Barnes, bringing you right now solutions to some of your biggest teaching and learning problems. Now, let's hack learning. Thank you for joining me for episode 89 of the Hack Learning Podcast. And it is June at the time of this recording, and many teachers have ended their school year. Some are still teaching, some go to July, but I know many have ended and they are probably resting, maybe taking a vacation, trying to sort of decompress from an always difficult school year. But soon they will be ramping up again, as teachers do, for the coming year. And they'll be doing whatever they can to make themselves better. And that may be reading books or going to conferences or joining Twitter chats or other forms of self-directed professional development. But one thing that I hope teachers do during this summer break, as they prepare for the next year, is to think about changing how they assign work outside of school. Homework, traditional homework specifically, is what I hope that they will change. In the open, I read a little bit of a foreword that I wrote for a book called Hacking Homework, the 8th book in the Hack Learning series. And this book is important to me for many reasons, but it's important to everyone, I think, because it takes a look at homework in a much different way from many other books. And I would like to share a little bit more of this forward and then give you an example of one of the hacks from this book. And I think it will inspire you to rethink how you assign work outside of school. Each night, my teachers distributed an endless stream of workbooks, worksheets, textbook chapters, and other horrible assignments, all far too tedious to describe in detail. I didn't understand how answering 25 math problems or summarizing the Battle of Antietam would serve me later in life. So in most cases, I decided I just wouldn't do it. Instead, I learned to lie about my homework. I crafted stories that the best detectives couldn't unravel. My skill at prevarication was unrivaled, and prompting teachers to forgive my missing homework was one of a few school accomplishments that made me proud. What's the point of admitting to lying, an abject behavior that I teach my children is never acceptable? Simple. If it hadn't been for homework, I would have enjoyed school and learning, and most certainly told fewer lies. In his popular book, The Homework Myth, Alfie Kohn surgically destroys virtually every argument that traditional homework leads to improved learning or higher achievement. You'd be hard-pressed to find a single study suggesting that students at any level perform better academically because of homework. Without connecting the study to overall grades or test scores, two barometers that tell more lies about learning than I did about missing homework assignments. Still, many educators continue to pile on the nightly worksheets and textbook chapters, changing the narrative. Why is homework so pervasive in schools, in spite of overwhelming evidence that it does little more than make kids hate learning? Longtime teachers, authors, and education consultants Star Sackstein and Connie Hamilton answer this question and many others about homework in this groundbreaking book, Hacking Homework. But unlike the saber rattlers, who only rail against the practice, Sackstein and Hamilton change the narrative. You see, if brilliant researchers and orators like Alfie Kohn can't discourage teachers from assigning homework, it's doubtful that anyone can. Since homework isn't likely to disappear from students' backpacks anytime soon, educators and parents need more than admonishment. They need practical strategies for hacking homework in such a way that it will no longer be the monster that turns honest kids into liars. They need strategies that will inspire learning outside of school. In Hacking Homework, Saxton and Hamilton provide 10 strategies that teachers can implement tomorrow that will revolutionize how students and parents view academics outside of school. So that is a part of my publisher's foreword to Hacking Homework. And the problem that we're discussing, as we do in Hack Learning podcasts and books, is homework, traditional homework. The idea that what we should do as teachers is assign something in class or maybe provide a lecture or some sort of a direct instruction in class, maybe have kids do something related to that lesson in class, but then send them home with what many will call practice. Oftentimes, the traditional homework isn't even practice. Sometimes it's giving kids something that maybe they haven't been exposed to see how they do, and then to bring it in the next day and sort of go through it, and to find out why they couldn't do it. I see a whole lot of that with my kids. Sometimes it's just rote memory stuff. A lot of times, in the lower grades, we love to give kids spelling. Now, there's not much research to support that practicing spelling actually makes you a good speller, because really all you're doing is memorizing. But there's a lot of that. There's a lot of basic activities that really, again, help kids memorize things, memorize facts, and then with the hope that maybe we'll apply those to something later on. But it really doesn't help too much with learning. So what Star Saxton and Connie Hamilton do in Hacking Homework is supply strategies that any teacher can use in really any subject or grade level for supplying work outside of school that students will enjoy. And one of the things they suggest and they demonstrate throughout is also getting kids to make choices in the work that they do that will then demonstrate learning. And that's just so important. If we give kids choice, then in most cases, if the choices are good ones and entertaining ones and engaging ones, then they will gravitate to those and they'll select one. I never got that. When I was making up those lies back at Myron T. Herrick Junior High, I never had choice. I had those lists, the list of 25 math problems and, solve the same thing over and over and over again. So I didn't do it. And then, of course, I was facing punishment, so I'd lie about it. Saxton and Hamilton say there's a better way. So I want to share with you something they do in Hacking Homework that I really love. And you find this in a lot of hack learning books. We have a section in the chapters called The Hack in Action. And people have said, boy, I really liked that you give a strategy, you say how it can be implemented right away, but then there's a story. And often case that story is an anecdote from another teacher or school leader who is actually implementing the strategy. They've tried it already, and they share their success with it. And I want to share one of those with you. This is from a Hack in Action from the book Hacking Homework. And this is actually from Hack 1, and it's called Break Up with Daily Homework. And the authors Saxton and Hamilton suggest that the idea of nightly homework is one of the problems with traditional homework. This idea that we have to give kids something every single night, collect it the next day, put a grade on it, and use that as a way to then get a total grade, because homework in most cases makes up a part of a larger grade. And then kids get into this rut again where they're not doing it, or they're not doing it right, or they're getting questions wrong, and it's damaging their overall grade. And we've had many discussions here on Hack Learning about grades, and we'll probably do more. But let me share this hack in action from this chapter of Hacking Homework, the idea of breaking up with the nightly homework. Bethany Hill is a lead learner at Central Elementary in Cabot, Arkansas, where she serves kids in pre-K through 4th grade. In this hack, Bethany shares her experiences with getting rid of nightly homework at her school. This is her story. As a teacher, I always struggled with the idea of homework and often questioned its purpose. I assigned it every day because other teachers did, or because it was an expectation in the school. I remember thinking about how schools within the district had varied homework expectations, and how sometimes even classrooms within the school were quite different in what they expected from kids and families. When I became the lead learner at Central Elementary, one of my goals was to establish consistency in homework policy so that our kids and families could understand what we value the most. The disparities in our expectations create confusion for students and families. Educators often have different ideas about what homework looks like and how kids should be held accountable for completing it, with the result that the tasks themselves become less meaningful. As we struggled to define the role of learning at home, this question surfaced. What can we do to help families understand the importance of engagement with their children? When we began to tackle this inquiry, our homework hack came to life. At Central, we chose to address the homework policy beast by setting an expectation for teachers, kids, and families to commit to family engagement. This includes reading, playing math games, many suggested by our school, family game nights, and free play outside. Investment is the most important thing parents can give their children. For a kid, spending time enjoying his or her family's company is more beneficial to the home environment than being stuck at the kitchen table completing required assignments. We also shifted the focus of our school family night events from training or talking at families to different kinds of activities in which families can engage with children. Our goal in doing so was to provide a model for families in the hope that these activities would be transferred to the home. And there is more to Bethany's hack in action in hacking homework, but I wanted to share with you this excerpt. The idea that a school leader, a principal, can commit to eliminating this old tradition, something that has been with education and teachers for really as long as we can remember school existing. The idea that we send kids home every night with something to do. And here's a principal that said, what I want to do is engage with my stakeholders. I want to get to know parents. I want to my teachers to get to know parents and kids, and I want my parents to enjoy learning with their children. And she said, let's give them some activities they can choose and they can work together in completing. And they don't have to turn it in every day. So this is one place to begin. And there are so many other places to continue the journey to eliminating traditional homework, not learning outside of school. We're not eliminating learning outside of school, but we're eliminating the idea that we have to have the old school rote memory style homework every night. So one step is think, how could I eliminate nightly homework? What are things I could do that would get kids to go home and want to maybe extend lessons in class in their own ways? Can I extend it over a longer period of time? And there are so many ways to do this. I hope this summer break that you will consider, whether you're a school leader, a teacher, or even a parent, what happens at home with your children, your students and your children in terms of learning outside of school? And what can you do to inspire learning rather than to bog kids down with the same old nightly routines that they hate, that they don't want to do, and in some cases, turn them into liars? Hey, I hope that you will check out Hacking Homework and use it as a guide to help you in your journey to not just eliminating nightly homework, but changing the whole homework mindset. Imagine going into school next year and telling your students and the parents when they show up that you're going to do things differently. And instead of traditional homework, you're going to create activities and opportunities that inspire kids to learn on their own outside of school. Now that is a truly beautiful thing. Hey, check out Hacking Homework at hackinghomework.com and change the homework mindset this summer. And thanks for listening. As always, we continue the conversation at #HackLearning on Twitter and on the show notes page at hacklearningpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.